Hey guys, what's going on? It's Steven here with another Yu-Gi-Oh video. Today's video is going to be a lot shorter than the last one. It's just going to be a quick tournament report. I took it to locals, nothing crazy, and maybe I'll do some test hands and some interactions, like with certain cards like Sea Stealth 2, Sea Stealth Attack, Dark Reef, and Sea Stealth Attack. Things like that, just so you guys can get an idea of like what kind of how the cards interact and things you need to know when playing the deck. Yeah, so this should be hopefully just over 10 minutes because I don't want to make it like 30 minutes like last time. Okay, so quick tournament report. I took this to locals last Sunday, August 13th, and I went undefeated. It was about 16 people. It was 4 rounds and then a cut to top 8. And round 1, I faced Salamangreat, and I lost the dice roll. And he went first. He made his board. He opened really well. He ended on the Link 2 as well as Rage, I think. And I opened suboptimally, so he won that game. Game 2, I went first, and I summoned Karyushin, and he didn't have any side deck cards to stop it. So he scooped, and then game 3, it was pretty crazy. Game 3, he went first, but and he didn't really open well. He desires, and he banished like his roar and his rage and his gazelle, which was pretty nuts. So he ended on like a really subpar board, with like a couple sets. So I basically went jelly into Karyushin, and then set up Sea Stealth Attack and Dark Reef with the field spell. And then he like Dark Rulered me, so I'm like, okay, that's fine because I still have Dark Reef. And then he like Lightning Stormed me, so I'll show you guys what to do with Sea Stealth Attack and Dark Reef when you get Lightning Stormed. Basically, you can either choose to keep these spells and traps, so the field spell and the trap, or you can, choose to keep the monsters. Depending obviously on what they pick for Lightning Storm, but they're always going to pick spells and traps usually, unless this is face up already, because then you can just protect it with the first effect. But I'll show you guys how that works. And then yeah, so then I won round 1. Round 2, I faced Despia, and it was not bad at all. Despia is a really easy matchup for this deck, especially if we get to go first, because they really can't out this card. They have basically no main deck outs. So basically against Despia, what you want to do is just sit on Karyushin. Don't really attack until you have game on board with Mega Fortress Wheel, because he lets you attack directly. Because you don't want to necessarily clear their board and allow them to summon more fusions. You like Mirror Jade, because Mirror Jade can kind of be annoying. You basically just want to, like, if they summon like an Owlbear to search or something, you just leave that on the board forever and force them to crash it in, because they're not really going to play a good out to this usually main deck, and then you just kill them with this by attacking directly. Round 3, I faced Despia again. Oh yeah, I won round 2 2-0, and then round 3 I faced Despia again, and it was like really straightforward. Same thing basically as the second one. I sided in evenly matched a lot against them, and I drew it going second, game 3, and that just like auto won me the match, because he chose to keep like his Mirror Jade, and the deck can usually play through one Mirror Jade because you can go like Electric Jellyfish into Karyushin, if you have the field spell up already, or Sea Stealth 2, and then Mirror Jade doesn't do anything because you just negate the effect with Jelly. And then when they try and attack over your Karyushin, you can like Sea Stealth to protect it, to destroy the Mirror Jade, or you can banish it with Sea Stealth Attack until the end phase, and then use Dark Reef to summon another one. There's a lot of ways to play around it. And then round 4, me and my opponent just chose not to play because we were both undefeated, so we were guaranteed top 8. So I just gave him the win because my friend had lost to him, so I wanted him to have a chance of top 8ing with a better tiebreaker. So round 4 we didn't even play, and then round 5, well, there was no round 5. It was cut to top 8, and then top 8, round 1. Me and my friend were supposed to play, but my friend had stepped out, so he just like gave me the win because he went for a walk, so he wasn't even there. So he gave me the win, and then the next round, I beat Splight. I won the dice roll, and I went first, and I summoned Karyushin, and they just don't have an answer to Karyushin plus Legendary Ocean main deck usually, because most people don't main Dark Ruler or any negation. They only main hand traps, and hand traps don't stop this once it's established. And then game 2, he went first, and I didn't open any side deck cards. I didn't see Dark Ruler or Evenly. So I lost, and then game 3, I went first, and I set up the a jelly, Karyushin, Ocean with Judgment, and the duel was over. So then, yeah, went undefeated. Only lost a couple games all day. I 2-0'd every Despia player I played, which was 3 of them. Well, I would have been 3. It was 2 of them if I would have played my friend. But yeah, so that's a quick tournament report. Now let me just get into some test hands or combos. So when you're playing this deck, you basically, like if you're going first, you always summon Jelly if you have access to Jelly, or Karyushin. So right, it's very simple. So with this hand, first thing you want to do is the field spell here is not actually essential with this hand. I guess neither is this, but we'd rather this resolve, and I'll show you why. So we go discard Warrior of Atlantis to add a Legendary Ocean. If they ash that, we can still play. We activate a Legendary Ocean. Then we're going to activate Fish Sonar. We're going to grab the Jelly. Then we're going to normal summon the Jelly. Use the Jelly, sending Legendary Ocean for cost. Summon Karyushin from our hand. I probably want to put them in the outside zones just to play around like Relinquished Anima. I mean, doesn't play around like that Geonator card, but who cares? No one's playing that. And then you use Karyushin. In this case, you can search either Dark Reef or Sea Stealth. However, a good rule of thumb is I didn't open either of them. You usually want to open one and then you just search the other one. Since I don't have either, you basically always want to search Sea Stealth, because if you were to activate Dark Reef here on your opponent's draw phase, you have to get rid of your Umi for it, and you have no way to activate another Umi, right? So you don't want to do that usually. You only want to go for a Dark Reef if you have a set Sea Stealth attack to reactivate the Umi, because this can reactivate it from the grave or hand when it's activated. Or you open the Sea Stealth attack, obviously. So here you search Sea Stealth attack, you set all 3. And this is a very, very strong board. The only card that instantly beats this board is like Dark Ruler, or I guess like evenly matched, but no one's main decking that. Dark Ruler or Droplet are really the only 2 cards that like are very that even they have a chance of playing if they're not playing a Wonder deck. So yeah, like this is like, you know, and even if they are playing a Water deck like Maransis, they just auto lose to this card. Or even sometimes if they do have the Dark Ruler or the Droplet, like if they're playing Salamangreat and they're all Cybers or Maransis, you activate this card, you win. If they're playing like a Dragon Link deck or something, you activate this card, you win. It's even pretty good against Despia. It's obviously really good against Splight because they're all Thunder. And then the frogs are all Aquas, I think. Yeah. So this obviously is really good against those decks too. So even if they have the answer to your Karyushin and your Jelly, they still have to deal with it. There can only be one. Like you're going to win this game like probably like 80-90% of the time. So yeah, so this is like basically the dream board, aside from also having Dark Reef. If one of these cards would have been a Dark Reef, it basically would have been the nuts. But that's a very, very strong board. So I just want to show a couple interactions with cards. So let me put some of these back. This hand's actually probably playable if you Prosperity. So this can search Karyushin, right? And then Prosperity can grab you either the field spell or the Jelly. So odds are this hand's going to be playable, but let me just do some interactions really quick, because I want to show you guys some cool stuff that the deck can do that not a lot of people well, if you're a first timer, you probably don't realize. So let's say you're playing a grind game, and they outed your board somehow, and like you have these 2 on the field, and like that's it, and your opponent's like going off, right, and they're about to kill you, and you have a Karyushin in the grave or your hand. What you can do is like they have like a bunch of boss monsters, assuming they have no way to stop these cards, right? They use all their effects to like out your board, let's say, and they just have a bunch of beaters on the field basically. At the start of the battle phase, this activates, right? Special one from your hand or grave, one monster that mentions Umi, but destroy it at the end of the battle phase. But ours is not gonna get destroyed. I'll show you why. So we bring back Karyushin. As soon as he hits the board, his effect goes into play. I'm not gonna say activates because it doesn't activate. It's a continuous effect, and it happens as soon as he hits the board. Your opponent cannot chain cards or effects to this. As soon as he hits, they can chain cards and effects to Sea Stealth, obviously, because it activates, right? Because there's a colon here at the start of the battle phase. Anytime you see a colon or a semicolon, it means it activates. So this card activates. They can negate this, but once he hits the board, they have to send monsters, so they only control one non-water. So basically, if they're about to kill you, and you have these, and you have this, just this card, you don't even need this card, just this card, and they're about to kill you, and they can't stop this, and you summon him, they now are allowed to only have one monster, and you're probably not killing you anymore. So that's really strong. Don't forget, they also can't target him with non-water monster effects because of this card. So they can't like Chi Shao negate it. Well, they wouldn't be able to chain anyway because of his effect, but they can't like do anything afterwards either, which is really good. So now you have two options, right? Either you can let him die at the end of the battle phase, or you can let him block an attack if it's gonna stop you from dying, or if you have like full life, let's say, and you don't care about your life points right now, what you can do is activate C Stealth to banish him. Use the first effect to banish him until the end phase, and then this turn space, so your face-up spells and traps can't be destroyed. So these two cards can't be destroyed for the rest of the turn. And now, because we banish him with C Stealth, he comes back at the end phase, and he doesn't get destroyed because of C Stealth 2. Because normally C Stealth 2 would destroy it at the end of the battle phase, but he lives because he was banished by this effect. So that's a really important interaction to know. That comes up a lot. I did it a ton at locals. I didn't even know about this interaction when I played this deck at the regional because I didn't play C Stealth 2, so I didn't really like think about it. But this card is nuts. You have to play this card at least 2. Oh, I forgot to mention. The only difference from my previous deck profile is I took C Stealth 2 down to 2, and I played one Call by the Grave. The reason why is because I'll show you why. The main reason why I played the one Call by the Grave, let me reset the deck, is because one, there's a lot of Despia at my locals, so I obviously wanted to make sure that I was playing Call by the Grave because it hits like Brandon in red, right? Also, in my opinion, Call by the Grave is essential in this deck because let's say like you need this Dark Reef to resolve, right? Let's say you have the Jelly and the Karyushin on the field, and and you have like a set C Stealth attack, right? So like basically like, you know, the typical like good setup, right? Like this is what you want to shoot for every game. And let's say they Dark Ruler you or Droplet you, and you can't negate that with Jelly, right? Because even though you negate spells, you can't chain to Dark Ruler or Droplet if they discard a monster for Droplet or send a monster. So normally you'd be screwed here, right? You have two monsters that don't do anything. They're not big. They're only plus 200 because of this. And you're like, you know, and you're probably going to lose this game. But we have Dark Reef. So what we do with Dark Reef is we activate Dark Reef here. We send this. We special another Karyushin from the deck. And we could special either a Mega Fortress Whale here, or a Doom Kraken. Both of them have the ability to stop a monster, right? Because Doom Kraken negates attacks, and Mega Fortress Whale pops a monster during the battle phase. So you can special either of them. Let's just say you go for the whale, and then if you want, either when this resolves or after you activate it, you could chain that to the activation because this sends for cost, or you could do this in a new chain depending on like whatever you want to do, depending on the game state, and you reactivate Yumi. So now you have another live Karyushin. You have a pop in the battle phase, so they basically can't attack, just attack over the Karyushin and then play main phase 2, and you now have C Stealth attack that destroys the opponent's monster even if they wanted to attack it, let's say. You know, so you have a bunch of ways to stop them from killing him, and the next turn you actually have game, because don't forget this can make all your guys attack directly. So the odds are they're probably not going to be able to crack this board, and the next turn you just kill him because you activate this effect to attack directly during your main phase, and then this is over 8,000, just these 4 alone. But I just got sidetracked by like what to do when you get hand trapped. The reason why I set this up is because of this card, Call by the Grave. So let's say like this was your board, right? Like this was your opening hand, right? Your opening hand was Jelly, Karyushin, C Stealth attack, Dark Ruler, Call by the Grave, or something like this, like very similar to this, right? So because don't forget he can search one of these two. So let's say like they do the same thing, right? Let's say they Dark Ruler your board, and you're like, oh fuck, and then you go activate Dark Reef, and then they go Ash Blossom. You lose. The duel is over probably, right? But if you have Call by the Grave, you can banish the Ash Blossom, obviously, to stop them from negating your Dark Reef. That's why in my regional build, you guys didn't see my regional build, but I played 3 Solemn Strike, basically just for Ash Blossom, because sometimes you need this card to resolve, and Strike can obviously stop Ash Blossom as well, and Strike can stop other things. It's a really good versatile card going first. And even going second, it's not terrible. So yeah, that's why I think Dark Rule is Call by the Grave is necessary in this deck, because you need to stop Ash Blossom sometimes on this card. Like ashing this hurts so bad because you not only do you lose your Umi, but you also lose this. So you're losing 2 cards for their 1 card. I mean, this can reactivate Umi in this case, but don't forget, if these guys are negated, they're basically just beaters, and you're gonna lose that game. So yeah, I think Call by the Grave is necessary. I didn't have to really use it at locals, really. I don't think I drew it. And I never got ashed because I was playing a lot of Despia, and usually Despia doesn't play hand traps, which is nice. But yeah, so that is just a reason why I like to play Call by the Grave. You can even put Solemn Strikes in if you want to, just to really stop Ash, but you know, a lot of times they're gonna Ash this guy or this. So it's and you can negate Ash with this if he's not negated. So, you know, there's a bunch of ways to stop it already, if you just want that extra protection. Okay, so obviously this hand is super playable, right? You have access to the field spell and Karyushin. Those two alone are combo. You have Jelly into Karyushin, which is combo, and you have a Sea Stealth, so this hand's really good. But I just want to talk about Sea Stealth 2 really fast, because this card put in so much work at locals. Like, I don't know why I didn't play this at the regional. I should have, because this card is nuts. So of course I'm lagging. Like, come on, dude. So Sea Stealth 2 was good because I played against like one of the Despia kids I played against. He activated Branded Fusion and sent Fairy Tale Snow. And as you guys know, Fairy Tale Snow brings itself back from the graveyard to target a monster on the field and Book of Moon it, turn it face down, and it's a quick effect. So you have no idea how long my board was like this. And he could not summon, he could summon Snow, but it didn't do anything because this says your water monsters cannot be targeted by non-water monster effects. So I was using this to negate his Mirror Jade every turn because he kept using Mirror Jade. And then I was just negating his Mirror Jade every turn, and he was setting like Branded and Reds and Branded Fusions he couldn't do anything with because this guy was on the field. And so like, and he kept attacking the Jelly because he couldn't attack this because of Sea Stealth attack. So literally, like, I kept banishing the Jelly until the end phase with this to dodge the attack from the Mirror Jade, and he couldn't attack this because the Sea Stealth attack would just destroy his Mirror Jade, which can like destroy the board, but then Jelly comes back and you can like negate it. Or like, I mean, if he's wasting a turn to negate, oh, he can't because Jelly's off the board, so you can't negate it with Jelly. But like, odds are you're probably not gonna lose anyway because Jelly comes back and you have like at least one other turn to draw into something, or there's just like a lot of ways to play around Mirror Jade in this deck. You could bring the thing back with Sea Stealth too, right? Like let's say the Mirror Jade did go off, right? And during the end phase, and he killed this. He's like, all right, next turn I could play. I go, all right, draw, blah blah blah. I go draw, and then I didn't draw anything good. So I'm like, all right, you can even normal summon this if you want. And then I go battle phase, bring back Karyushin with Sea Stealth 2, attack, and then activate Sea Stealth to banish this until the end phase. So it comes back on the it comes back, and he's locked again, right? So you don't even have to draw into like another Karyushin or a Fish Sonar or anything. You already can bring it back permanently just with these 2 cards. It's so strong. But yeah, so he was playing Despia with Fairy Tale Snow, and he couldn't use the effect the whole game because Sea Stealth 2 was preventing him from targeting my guys. If this wasn't on the board, he could have summoned Snow, Book of Moon this, and probably just won. I mean, I did have Jelly to negate it, but, you know, it's wasting a Jelly negate on that is, like, so bad. So, yeah, this card just puts in work. Play this card at least at 2, if not 3. It's so, so good. Because not only does it protect your guys, does it bring something back that you can keep forever with Sea Stealth, but it stops your guys from being targeted. So, like, they can't imperm your Jelly. Like, anything that targets that's not water, which is, like, every single card, basically, they just can't use it at all. It's just a dead card. It is so, so good. Okay, let me see. What else? Is there anything else I wanted to talk about? Oh, God, the video's already at 19 minutes. All right. Time is flying. And also Kraken put in work. Kraken was really good. Definitely play the one Kraken. I summoned it on a bunch of Despia players, negate the attack on my Karyushin, and then, you know, on the end phase, bounce the Jelly, or in this case, War of Atlantis because it's better. Special him, pop an opponent's monster, and just win the game. So yeah, hopefully you guys learn something about this deck, about some little niche interactions and things. Don't forget the Miserland can activate Mystic Mine or your field spell, whichever one you need. And that's pretty much it. This is the main interaction I wanted to talk about. And I think that's it. So if anyone has any questions, this is probably going to be the last video I do on Umi. I'm playtesting some other decks that I might want to profile depending on how they come out. So if you guys enjoyed the video and you want to see more, definitely subscribe if you can, and like the video, comment any questions you want or anything, and I will definitely respond. So, yep. Thanks, guys. See you.